Hey everyone, welcome back. So let's take a step back to 1981. Check out this fun clip.
With us later. Right now, there's a very funny young man who's off to a very good start as a stand-up comedian, and he'll be opening for Andy Williams December 8th to the 13th at the Carlton in Bloomington, Minnesota. Would you welcome Jerry Seinfeld?
Hey, how's everybody doing? Well, good. I've been doing pretty good. I've been working a lot and making some money. Bank noticed I was making some money. I said, hey, let's give this kid some credit cards, see if he can hold on to it. They gave me credit cards. These things are terrible. You just spend and spend. There's no pain. There should be some pain when you use these things, shouldn't there? I think they ought to put your hand in that thing when they run it over the card.
Jerry Seinfeld went on to create one of the most influential sitcoms ever, but back in the early 80s, he was still trying to make it big. He knew that the best way to be a better comic was to create better jokes, and the best way to create better jokes was to write jokes every single day. He used a visual technique to keep him motivated to do just that. He hung a big wall calendar up in his office that had the whole year on one sheet. And for every day that he wrote at least one joke, he got to put a big red X over that day. After a few days, he had a chain. And as he saw the chain growing, he became increasingly more motivated not to break the chain. After a bit, writing every single day was no longer a task. It was a habit, and it was a habit that paid off nicely for him. As it turns out, there is neuroscience behind the Seinfeld strategy as it relates to both procrastination and motivation. We all procrastinate sometimes, putting off cleaning the garage or organizing the closet or working on that daunting project. But studies show that 1 in 5 people are considered chronic procrastinators who deliberately look for distractions to avoid difficult tasks. We've all been there. A deadline looming, and so many shiny things that capture our attention. Sometimes putting things off creates a sense of urgency that kicks you into gear. And these are the people that say, I work best under pressure, right? But other times it creates an added layer of stress because you're not doing what you know you should be doing. Procrastination is so relatable, so universal, because the human brain is actually wired for it. When we're faced with something that we really don't want to do, 2 different parts of the brain get into a tug-of-war for control. It's a battle between the prefrontal cortex, also known as the rational decision maker. That's the part of the brain that can visualize the future and plan and reason and evaluate to actually get there. And the limbic system, also known as the instant gratification seeker. The limbic system lives in the now, and it loves pleasure and reward, and it wants what it wants when it wants it. This is where it gets tricky. Your limbic system is one of the most dominant parts of the brain. It's what generates cortisol when you're stressed out about something and dopamine when you experience pleasure. And it all kind of happens automatically. There's nothing automatic about the prefrontal cortex or the rational decision maker. You have to jumpstart it, and you have to keep it running. And the moment that you're not consciously engaged in a task, your limbic system wants to take over again. That's when you give in to what feels good. That's when you procrastinate. The instant gratification seeker is responsible for what psychologists call present bias. And present bias just means that we tend to give stronger weight to payoffs that are closer to the present time. The farther in the future the reward is, the less value we tend to put on it, even when that value is exactly the same. For example, if I offered you $100 now or $150 a year from now, the instant gratification seeker would want to take the $100 and run. But if I offer you $100 in a year and $150 if you wait just one extra month, it's far enough in the future that your rational decision maker would kick in and say, if I can wait a year, I can wait a year and a month. So back to Seinfeld's strategy. What's the science behind it? Well, seeing your accomplishments in a visual format becomes a reward in itself, and it's kind of the brain's way of tricking the limbic system into thinking it's won, while the prefrontal cortex continues to focus on not breaking that chain. If you don't want to convert your wall into a public anti-procrastination gallery, print out your calendar and highlight the tasks you complete as you complete them. sounds so simple, but the mere act of visually seeing your tasks get done right before your eyes will release enough dopamine to make it both rewarding and motivating. So, the next time you think about putting off that thing that you really need to do, remember that your instant gratification seeker always wants to be in charge. But if you know what's going on up there, you have the power to outsmart it. Want to learn more about how the brain works and how you can make it work better for you? Check out my book, Happy Hour with Einstein. And remember, life is always better when you share the good stuff.